Hi everyone. Can you believe we're almost done with Unit 1? This is going to be a quicker video. Of course, I always say that and then I keep going on. But the main thing I want to do here is touch base with you. I've had the pleasure of communicating with many of you by email. I just want to encourage you again. Please email me any questions, concerns. It's how I get to know you in a class that is online and doesn't have a lot of class meetings. Speaking of which, we are going to have a class meeting this coming Tuesday night from 6 to 7. Now I realize that this is something that maybe was unclear from the beginning because we're doing it on an as-need basis, as needed. And so this is a need that we have. We have a need to meet. And if for some reason you have prior commitments that are unavoidable, I understand, but there will be a recording of the class, and I expect that you'll go to that and you'll give me some participation feedback. So it's an additional task that you'll have to do on your own, but if you attend the class, then that's really all you need to do. The number one thing we're going to be doing is working in some peer editing groups. It's going to be some workshopping with your assignment 1. And so what that means is that what you turn in by this Sunday night will be considered a first draft. So you have to have something turned in, and not just something, but your best effort at the assignment. And that means lengthwise too. So you can't think it's a first draft and then do half of the assignment. Obviously, it's intended and expected that you will complete this assignment. But then you will have the opportunity to get feedback and make changes. Now I want to just make sure that everybody understands that this assignment comes from the modules that you have to watch on your own. Those are asynchronous, and that means that they are at your own pace. But we're done with your own pace, and it's the end of the first unit, so you have to go through those modules. And they're interactive. They expect you to type in some thoughts and be participating. So please don't have it on while you're doing something else. Stay focused and realize that that's your main means of understanding the assignment. But the class on Tuesday night hopefully will help you and all of us be able to discuss and learn from each other about how to write a narrative, how to write descriptively, how to write a remembered event paper. And so I just wanted to say a couple things. The first one is the modules talk about the rhetorical situation. Now, rhetoric is something old-fashioned, but it really is useful today. And Aristotle had a triangle, and the triangle had 3 points, of course, and the points were the author, the text, and the audience. And when you consider that the audience is really important and the context is really important for whatever you're writing, you'll understand that this remembered event paper is not just a story. If you've ever seen Planes, Trains, and Automobiles where John Candy and Steve Martin are on a plane together, and John Candy just starts talking, and then later on he comes back to Steve Martin comes back to John Candy and says, when you tell a story, have a point. And it's pretty brutal. I mean, he's not nice about it, but it's something that you have to remember. The rhetorical situation is having a point and knowing what your audience is, who your audience is, and knowing what the genre is. A genre is a type. That's where the word comes from. In French and then from Latin. GEN is the same GEN for gender and generic and lots of words. And it means type. So this is a type of writing that you need to accomplish. So that is the most important element. We'll talk about rhetoric a little bit on Tuesday night, but we're mainly going to be workshopping. Now, there are 3 characteristics that the modules talk about regarding writing this narrative. And the first one is it needs to be a well-told story. And a well-told story revolves around some conflict. And when we say conflict, we don't mean it has to be a world war. It simply has to be an external or internal conflict that has to be resolved in some way, or at least you have to move forward. And so that's important, that your story has to be well told based on a conflict. It should be meaningful, and this is something that I actually commented to somebody about because they shared with me their first effort, and I just want to make sure you know this story has to not just show, but also tell. In writing, we often talk about show and tell. Showing is preferred, but sometimes the narrator has to insert himself or herself and tell what this means, okay? And one thing that happens to a main character or characters in a short story is you have some sort of change or revelation or epiphany by the end of the story. And so that meaning is going to be your epiphany. What did the main character, maybe you, maybe somebody else, get out of this? Okay, so that's the first one. It has to be a well-told story. And secondly, vivid description. Vivid means alive. Just think of the Spanish root or the Latin root, vivere, right? It's got to be alive. And so a lively description names specifics. It doesn't just leave vague examples out there, okay? So when you use nouns, make them specific nouns, not stuff, not things, but be very specific. And that's, you're not just using adjectives to describe, you're using very specific nouns. And the second thing is, again, a detailed comparison, not for everything, but for something significant that points to the meaning of your story. Okay, and finally, again, this is, I've repeated this 3 times so you understand this is important. The third characteristic is significance. You need to have a point to your story. So tell, don't just show, but don't just tell. You've got to have some dialogue or some actions that actually reveal something. Don't just say someone's lazy. Demonstrate it. Okay? I hope these things help. I hope that you choose something from your life, something that you remember. Again, it can be connected to somebody else, but I think you in making it personal, you're going to be a better writer. And so this is my overview. Hopefully this helps you, and we'll have a great class on Tuesday night. I look forward to talking with you and learning from you. So if you don't know how to do the collaborate, just remember I've sent you instructions. It's basically on the left-hand menu of your screen, and it's collaborate. You click on that, and it will go there. There's also a link within the Unit 2 folder. And as of Monday, we are starting Unit 2, so everything will be updated and you'll be able to start doing discussions. Don't forget discussion, posting, responses, responding to other people's postings. That's due Sunday night as well. Okay, so your first draft, your discussion responses, that's due Sunday night. Tuesday night is your live session, and then your final draft of the Remembered event, that's going to be due on Thursday. Check the calendar, okay, and look at your announcement. I have to make sure I don't misspeak. So please check your calendar. I've also revised the syllabus to try to make it a little more streamlined. And on Tuesday, we'll definitely remind you of when the final due date for that paper is. But just follow what's in your folders. Okay, thank you. Have a great rest of your week and rest of your unit.